think I'm fully switched over now. Trying to fix this camera too. Oh, I don't want to open that.
Organize all of your stream windows like chat, notifications, multi-streaming. Just to my viewers, I've got quick settings and manage your bot. This website, just pop over into the sponsorship. See you over there. EQ, noise gate, and compression. These are the standard 3 effects that every streamer should be using, and they're really the only 3 that you need to use. Also going to use them in this order for a very important reason that you'll understand later in the video. But effect number 1, EQ. I'm actually going to take my effects off real quick, just so we can start from scratch. Now, again, just like the last couple, I'm going to use the Elgato system. This is the Wavelink software. It's their audio editing and mixing software, just because it's the most common ecosystem to do this stuff in. But you can do these 3 things in almost any software. Beacon, Roland, Rode, Go XLR, they all have great plugins built in, and they all pretty much have these ones built into them as well. So if you followed the last video on how to set up a microphone, if you didn't, I'll put a link to it up in whichever corner it goes in. I always forget. You should have your mic gain level and your mix set properly, ready to go. Now we're just going to polish up this voice that's right over here. We're going to go to Elgato. We're going to click Elgato EQ. If I'm using any effects that you don't see down here, or maybe you don't even see Elgato, you're going to click to get more audio effects. The Elgato marketplace is going to pop up, and you can go to, look at that, EQ right here. And you're going to add it to Wavelink. It'll say get for you, but it'll install it into the Wavelink software, and it'll show up right there. So we're going to start with EQ. Now, what an EQ does is EQ is almost like color correction, kind of like a filter will adjust and turn up certain colors and turn down certain colors to give it a special vibe, right? A special color. That's what we're doing here. We're coloring our voice. On the left side of this graph, we have our low end frequencies of our voice. And here, as I turn this up, we start to get a little bit boomier, a little bit deeper. We got our high end over here. It makes it sound a little bit brighter. Really? Obviously, I'm cranking it up way too high, but I want you to be able to hear what this does. And what happens if we turn it down? and what happens if we turn it up. So we got our lows, we got our highs, and in the middle here we have our, you probably guessed it, we have our mids. That's what makes us sound a little bit muddy, a little bit nasally sometimes in this area. You can see as we cut it out, it starts to feel, if we go too far, it starts to feel a little bit empty, starts to feel a little hollow. But by combining some very simple and some very subtle EQ adjustments, we can make our voice sound pretty dang good. What I like to do is I like to make a little bit of a subtle smile. It's actually not going to look that subtle in this one because Elgato kind of cranks up the scale, the vertical scale of this. But I'm going to turn this low shelf up to +3. I'm going to roll off a little bit of the low rumbles there. That gets a little bit excessive. I'm going to pull down the mids here.
I do a half screen thing.
And then I'm going to add a little bit of brightness up here. Now, I just want you to know, I'm not wearing headphones. I can't tell what I'm doing. I'm probably not doing it just right, but there's a reason for that. I just want you to be able to hear the difference between what we did there. If I turn off the EQ that I just did, and then I turn on the EQ that I just did. Do you hear a difference? Now, I've got good news for you if you're already feeling a little bit overwhelmed. If we go back into this EQ here, you can see up in the top, if we click this little grid, we've got some presets. And I got a special one right here that I made for you. If you click the little marketplace icon up here, it's going to take you again to the Elgato marketplace. And instead of going to audio effects, we're going to go back to audio. We're going to look up presets. And look at that, there's my face. What a great preset. If you're using a dynamic mic, which most people are for streaming, the SM7B, the Rode Pod mic, the Electro Voice R20, those are all great dynamic mics. And this is a starter EQ for dynamic mics. So if you install that, you can go into your EQ, you can click on this, and you can click Harris's Dynamic Mic Preset, or I have given you a very fine-tuned and great preset to start with. Now, keep in mind, every mic is different. Also, every voice is different. You're going to have different strong frequencies and different weak frequencies that you're going to want to adjust for. So what you should do is you should install this template, and then afterwards, make some adjustments and listen to it and see if you like it. Maybe turn down the highs, maybe turn up the highs if you don't feel like it's bright enough. The only thing I would recommend is you don't do anything too serious. For the most part, I don't bring anything above maybe 3 or 4 dB of gain.
Well, let's see.
Over here, and
I'm going to start with
it
his.
shows you the 3 and the 4. You can also scroll while you're on these to change the slope of those curves. You can see on a middle one, it'll make it wider and thinner.
EQ.
But I actually really like the default. Naturally, I made it with my own voice. But here's one of the issues with Elgato software that other software has as well, is that the processing isn't done on the device, meaning as you adjust this, if you're wearing headphones and you can hear your mic, I don't actually hear the adjustments I'm making here. I can crank it all the way up here. It's going to sound crazy for you. I'm going to hear the same thing in my headphones as if I never put this on. So here's how you adjust for that. This is a little bit of a hack right now. I've got my camera and my microphone going into OBS. Technically, you don't need your camera. You can do it just with your microphone. I'm going to record about 30 seconds of myself talking, and I'm just gonna ramble. I'm maybe gonna get a little bit loud, I'm gonna get a little bit quiet, but I'm gonna talk in a normal voice, trying to emulate the way I talk when I'm on screen. I've got about 12 seconds.
That doesn't work.
Go 30 seconds if I were doing it in real life for myself. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open that video that I just recorded, but that's gonna be coming through system here. What I can do is I can add EQ to the system channel over here. Let's add the same EQ. I'm going to add the same default template here. And then I can adjust this. And as I'm adjusting it, it's applying to this video that's playing. I can hear what this EQ is going to do to my voice. So I'm going to make some adjustments until it sounds the way I want my voice to sound. And then
Test.
We're going to call it new
Test.
Now check this out.
I
I can
guess
go over to the
you
SM7B over
can't
here.
hear.
I can go to my Elgato EQ, and there's our new preset.
Test.
The adjustments that we made to the video
All right,
are
I'm gonna
to
stick
our actual
with
voice
that.
in real time. Now, one last thing where EQ really comes in handy is sometimes you have something called a resonant frequency in your room. This is a vibration that naturally happens in your environment. So maybe it's your desk that your mic is on happens to vibrate at a certain frequency. Maybe the walls are a certain distance, and so certain frequencies happen to bounce really easily back and forth. It could be anything, but sometimes you might be watching your stream back or maybe watching this recording, and you hear this really strong hum frequency or this one obnoxious sound. I don't know how to describe it, but you'll actually hear it when I do it here. I'm going to double click on this line to add another band. And I'm going to make this a really, really pointy band. And I'm going to crank this up. And again, I won't be able to hear it, but you might be able to hear just a little weird hum happening here as I talk, maybe in these lower frequencies. And it can get kind of annoying. If I pull this up here to maybe around here, you can hear when I'm talking, there's just this weird little hum that accentuates in my voice. And you can't really tell what it is, but you know something's bothering you. A lot of streamers get these because you're not in crazy soundproof environments and they don't know how to fix them. What you do is you're going to take a strong point like this, maybe broaden it out a little bit more so it's not quite as thin. And then you're going to play a recording of your voice and sweep across until you find it. When you find it, it will get really, really strong. You're like, that's the one. That's the hum. Make note of what that frequency is and just pull it out. Pull it down until that frequency is gone, but the voice still sounds natural. That's a professional audio technique called a sweep and cut, by the way. And I just wanted to share it with you in case you're one of the few people that have had that driving them nuts. So for the rest of you that had no idea, just ignore that part. But for those of you that are thanking me and maybe praying to me right now, we can bask in the excitement of fixing that problem together. Because
Okay, what's next?
All right, next one.
Noise gate.
Noise gate. I know a lot of people jump to compression next. I'll explain to you why noise gate comes before compression in just a second. The next thing we're going to add is a noise gate. And typically, unless you have a very fancy noise gate like the Beacon mic has, it's basically just a line where if your mic is louder than that line, it lets the audio through. The moment it gets quieter than that line, which that line is called the threshold, by the way, the moment it gets quieter than that line, it cuts out all the sound. That way, when you stop talking, it goes completely silent. You don't hear things like fans. Like you can probably hear my fans. Cut the music. You hear my fans, don't you? A noise gate will cut that out. Now, weirdly enough, I was surprised to learn this, that Elgato doesn't have a noise gate. They have noise removal, but this isn't a gate where it's either on or off. This is using AI to suck certain frequencies, remove noise out of your voice. And that can be helpful. A lot of people really like that. Feel free to give that a shot. But let me throw it on there so you can hear it. If I install this, having it down to 0 or 1% is probably all I'm going to want to do, because if I turn it up a little bit higher, do you hear do you hear what that does to my voice? As it's sucking more noise frequencies out, sometimes noise frequencies overlap with voice frequencies, and you're going to lose a little bit.
I did try that, but
voice frequencies, it's going to make your voice sound a little bit thinner as you're losing those frequencies. So I like to treat my room to get as much noise out as possible, and then instead just use a noise gate. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Elgato doesn't really have a noise gate, so we had to install a third-party noise gate, which is not a huge deal. I recommend Reaper plugins. So here we go, Reaper.fm, Replugins. You're going to install probably the 64-bit if your computer is not 15 years old. This will install them on.
okay, that's what I need.
Just use a noise gate. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Elgato doesn't really have a noise gate, so we had to install a third-party noise gate, which is not a huge deal. I recommend Reaper plugins. So here we go, Reaper.fm, Replugins. You're going to install noise gate, which is not a huge deal. I recommend Replugins, which is not a huge deal. I recommend Reaper plugins. So here we go, Reaper.fm, Replugins. You're going to install probably the 64-bit if your computer's not 15 years old. This will install them on your computer, and what you'll do is you'll hit the setting button right here. You're going to go to Audio Effects, and in VST2 folder,
okay, go back.
On your computer, and what you'll do is you'll hit the setting button right here. You're going to go to Audio. I recommend Reaper plugins. So here we go, Reaper.fm, Replugins. You're going to install probably the 64-bit if your computer's not 15 years old. This will install them on your computer, and what you'll do is you'll hit the setting button right here. You're going to go to Audio Effects, and in VST2 folder, what I did is I went into my C drive, Program Files, and then VST plugins, and I selected that folder, and then scanned folder for plugins. That found all the Reaper plugins. It installed them right in there. So now when I go to Add Effects, I don't know why that says, I'm going to say cuckoos, but I know that's not what it says. I don't know why it's that. But I got all the Reaper plugins right here. Program Files, and then 4-bit if your computer's not 15 years old. This will install them on your computer, and what you'll do is you'll hit the setting button right here. You're going to go to Audio Effects, and and in VST2 folder,
Okay.
what I did is I
Yes,
went
I'm just
into
taking them off.
my C drive, program files, and then VST plugins, and I selected that folder, and then scanned folder for plugins. That found all the Reaper plugins. It installed them right in there. So now when I go to add effects, I don't know why that says, I'm going to say, then scan folder for plugins. That found on your computer, and what you'll do is you'll hit the setting button right here. You're going to go to audio effects, and in VST2 folder, what I did is I went into my C drive, program files, and then VST plugins, and I selected that folder, and then scanned folder for plugins. That found all the Reaper plugins. It installed them right, and I selected that folder, and then scanned folder for plugins. That found all the Reaper plugins. It installed them right in there. So now when I go to add effects, I don't know why that.
Wait.
And in VST2 folder, what I probably the 64-bit if your computer is not 15 years old. This will install them on your computer, and what you'll do is you'll hit the setting button right here. You're going to go to audio effects, and in VST2 folder, what I did is I went into my C drive, program files, and then VST plugins, and I selected that folder, and then scanned folder for plugins. That found all the Reaper plugins. It installed them right in there. So now when I go to add effects, I don't know why that says, I'm going to say cuckoos, but I know that's not what it says. I don't know why it's that. But I got all the Reaper plugins right here, and we're going to do
I think he said VST plugins.
Cuckoos, but I know that's not what it says. I don't know why it's that. That found all the Reaper plugins. It installed them right in program files, and then VST plugins, and I selected that folder, and then scanned folder for plugins. That found all the Reaper plugins. It installed them right in there. So now when I go to add effects, I don't know why that says, I'm going to say cuckoos, but I know that's not what it says. I don't know why it's that. But I got all the Reaper plugins right here, and we're going to do re-gate. Now, this is not as nice looking as the Elgato ones, which is why I'm not a huge fan, and that's why I'm kind of bummed that Elgato doesn't have a nice noise gate. I would love them to make an expander like they've got on the Beacon system. But just know you can ignore literally everything except for this little guy right here. This is all you need. This is the only thing that you need on here. So pretend it's just this over
Okay,
here.
what's
Now,
it called?
very similar to the last one. What we're going to do, I'm going to record myself into the microphone again, but this time I'm going to record a little bit softer.
Regate? Is that what I need?
Expander like they've got on a huge re-gate. Now,
Regate.
this is
Okay,
not
that's
as
what it
nice
is.
looking as the Elgato ones, which is why I'm not a huge fan, and that's why I'm kind of bummed that Elgato doesn't have a nice noise gate. I would love them to make an expander like they've got on the Beacon system. But just know you can ignore literally everything except for this little guy right here. This is all you need. This is the only thing that you need on here.
Okay.
So pretend it's just this over here. Now, very similar to the last one, what we're going to do, I'm going to record myself into the microphone again, but this time I'm going to record a little bit softer. And I'm going to leave some dead space in there. I'm going to leave about 5 seconds of dead space right now. And then I'm going to talk quieter even more, and even get some breaths. Any little sound that might be right on the verge of where that threshold is. We're going to open up the noise gate, and then we're just going to mess with this slider until it cuts out all the noise without cutting out any of our voice. Record myself into the microphone again, but this time I'm going to record a little bit softer. And I'm going to leave some dead. Did you hear that in the dead space? It was around -60 dB where it actually cut out the background noise, which is coming from the fans on my PC over there. You hear the difference when I go down and then back up? And then I'm going to talk quieter even more, and even get some breaths. You can hear what happens if I crank it up too high. Any little sound that might be right on the verge of where that threshold is. But it sounds like we got it right on the perfect spot there. Any little.
Okay. Uh-oh. I still got a little bit of time here. Oh, I've been having some. Welcome back from Florida, by the way. And how you doing? I'm watching Senpai Gaming. I got this. It's called Wavelink. Well, I got a stream deck finally, and I've been trying to set up all my audio, and I've had a few down days. I haven't been able to get it to work, and it basically took over all the audio on my computer, and I couldn't control it in the stream, but I've got it figured out. Now I'm just tuning my mic, following this guy's lead here. It really was. Let me turn this down. Actually, I need to hear that. All right. Okay. I see. What's up? 30? That's pretty good. That's okay. That's okay. Growing pains. It's always gonna pick up keyboard. You hear the bit. That should be good. I don't want to cut too much, but I think it sounds pretty good. The mic. I turn this down. Yeah, you can hear background. That's pretty good. How's Florida?
Any little nailed it, and we ended with negative 57.4. I'm just going to remember that number. I'm going to go to my voice channel. I'm going to add a plugin. We're going to add the re-gate, and I'm going to bring this to negative 57.4. There we go. My noise gate is set. So we've got our EQ done. We've got our noise gate done. Now let's work on compression. Now what compression does is it compresses what's called the dynamic range of your voice, or makes your quiet parts louder.
Check your profile pic.
Quieter. This way, let's say you're playing a scary game like Phasmophobia or Dead by Daylight.
You want me to look on Twitch?
Whispering and you're being quiet, your audience doesn't have to crank up the volume to hear you. It's automatically boosting your voice. And then when something scary happens and you scream, it doesn't blow out everyone's eardrums because the compressor automatically brings down the loud part. Now this one, you don't even have to do it in the system. You can do it entirely by the numbers. In fact, Elgato's got a great way to do it without even having to really do anything. I'll show you. So let's add effects. Let's go to Elgato. We're going to go to compressor, and look at that. Let's compress your voice. It's got it all prepped for you. So we're going to hit proceed, and it started without me. I wasn't ready for it. Hold on a second.
My chat's not here.
I'd recommend doing this as close to your natural streaming voice as you can. So pretend you got an audience while you're doing this. Vocal compression is the secret to sounding pro. Let's do this. You can see as I'm bringing it down.
Hold on, let me shut this guy off.
And makes them a little.
We got the reverb plugins done, by the way, which is good. Pablo 13th. This one? Is that SeaWorld? You went to SeaWorld? Follow ya? Nice. How, did you like that? Was that fun? We went there, the one in San Diego. Took the kids. It was years ago, but I thought it was pretty cool. You got roller coasters? Oh, this one didn't have roller coasters. That's pretty cool. Okay. Compress. Where's my no, I should be done with this. I don't. Still got a little bit of noise there. That's cool. Roller coasters. You get to see the orcas, all that stuff. The orca show was probably the coolest thing. My favorite thing I saw there. Have, you know, the trainers out there making them do tricks. That was pretty cool. Okay, I think I could close this. Oh, we got, put that there second, and then he's doing the compressor now, which I kind of messed with. Let's see again. Compressor. So you were out there for a while, huh? You're in Florida for a while. Settings. Okay, it's over here. And looks pretty good. Compress your voice. Compression evens out the loudest and softest parts of your vocals, making your overall volume more consistent. Click proceed to begin. You'll need to speak into your mic. There's one roller coaster where you sit down, but then before it starts, it lays you down and you're just hanging in your seat, turned out like an. Oh, that's cool. That reminds me of a ride at Six Flags that does that. It's like you're laying down like this, like facing the ground. And what was it called? Tatsu? Yeah, and you're just hanging there. And it goes really high up. You're looking down at the people below you, and they're like, I don't know if that ride's still there. That was years ago also. Okay, let's see this. Vocal compression is the secret to sounding pro. Let's do this. Vocal compression is the secret to sounding pro. Let's do this. Okay. Adjust the slider to remove the tips of your highest peaks. I guess like that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Gain reduction. Check. Okay. So you can see what it's cutting out there. Check, check, check. It was an experience. That's what it did. This one had like 7 loops. Was it smooth? No, there's a few that had like the wooden coasters are pretty rough. There's one too that I forget what it was called. Colossus. I think it's called Colossus. Where it was like the turn really sharp and it like really pushed you down. That G-forces made me feel like I was going to pass out. I mean, I didn't, but you know, you could feel it like all the blood leaving. Okay, I think I'm compressed here.
A little bit quieter. Just kind of compresses it together.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to do this with
it's not called compressing. It's called compression.
video.
Now, the last test you have to do is this right here shows you how much it's compressing your voice. When you get loud, how much dB is it squeezing it back down? And what you want is in your normal talking voice, you want this to kind of hover between -5 dB and -10 dB. So it sounds like I might actually have mine a little bit strong right now. I'm going to take this threshold and drag it back up.
Between -5 and -10.
That's actually looking pretty good. It's generally between -5 and -10 anytime I'm talking. And if I get a little bit loud, it'll get above there, but not too far above it.
Between -5 and -10 in normal talking.
Systems like the Beacon one, but
oh, that's way too much.
If you're not on one of these systems,
I moved that by accident.
Some of the settings you want are a 4:1 ratio. That is
okay, up a little bit more.
Attack and release just somewhere around these numbers. They'll fluctuate a little bit based
Wait,
on
hold on.
Not a big deal. And then Elgato has
buddy. Let me go back here. He said anywhere between -5 and -10. I think that's pretty good on my normal talking voice. Let me, I want to monitor this. Let's see. How's it sound? Oh, it feels louder. So when you so if you sit in the back, all the momentum from the front makes you bang back and forth in your seat and you're just hanging upside down for a second when you're in the loop. Sounds fun. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of roller coasters. I've been on a bunch, but not the biggest fan. Okay, so it says he said between 5 and 10 reduction. Let me pull this down a little bit, down a little bit. All right, this is a normal talking voice. There are ones where you stand up. I don't think I've been on a stand-up coaster. I think this is pretty good. Let me check the monitor. That sounds good. I like it. Okay. Sounds better. The echo gets me. How about here if I click this monitor? Okay, that's a little better. Okay, compress. Check. We're at between. You didn't get to write it. Was it the lines too big or something? You want to hear a scary story about rides? I was at well, hold on. Let me see. Let me a little bit more, something like that. I was at Knott's Berry Farm. I was working for Target at the time, and I was like 17 or 18. I started there when I was still in school. So the Target, like, once, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to like rent the place out, and it was only Target employees, like employee appreciation night, and it's down in Buena Park, kind of near me. And so, you know, we go there, you have a good time, your friends there, and it's only basically Target employees, family and friends. And long story short, we were like going on rides and stuff, and there's this one ride that we went on. They used to have where you go down. It was like kind of like a log ride. You go down and you splash. I think it was called Tidal Wave, and you could stand on the bridge, and when it went down, it would splash you. Anyways, we were walking back we went on that. We were gonna walking back in that area of the park, and all of a sudden all these workers are like closing off the park and escorting people out, and people are crying and stuff. A lady had fell off of that and she passed away while we were there. I didn't see it, but I just remember they had closed the park. And yeah, crazy. Yeah, but there's actually there's like YouTube videos on, there's channels that talk about all kinds of different roller coasters and like accidents and things. And I recently looked it up, and there's actually a video about it, somebody talking about it. And there's a bunch of people in the comments saying that they were there that night too. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, I know it's kind of a sad story, but kind of crazy. Something that when I talk about roller coasters, it comes up. But yeah. Anyways, they have a coaster there too called Ghost Rider, a wooden coaster. That thing is so rough. When I went on it, it was like really, it just beats you up, man. And then they had one called X3 or something, X4, I don't remember. And that one was like you lay back, and your like arms and legs are in their own little slots, so you don't move around in your head. And there's speakers right here, and it flips you all different ways. And there's like pyrotechnics going off, like you could feel the heat from the flames and music. And I don't know, it was just, a lot of people loved it, but for me it was just really disorienting. Like you were in a washing machine, you didn't know where you are and what. That was I wonder if you could look that up. I don't know if I'm allowed to be even. Was that? Oh no, wait. I think that was at Six Flags. I might be telling you the wrong thing. Six Flags X4 or something? X3? I don't know. Oh, this is an older version, I think. But yeah, same kind of idea. You see how there's speakers and stuff? Carowinds in North and South. No, I've never been to that. Maybe this is it. I remember it differently. But yeah, look at, see your seating position? It's just, you're all over the place. It's another like theme park, amusement park like that, like Six Flags kind of. Maybe this is the ride, because I'm sure they don't have more than one. Is that near where you live? Are you near South, the Carolinas? You said you went to Florida too. Are you over on like East Coast? You see how it flips you around? Inverts you. It's just, some people loved it, but for me it was just really disorienting. Like it didn't flow, like the way the cars moved versus what you were doing. Like you'd be going through a loop and the car would flip you the other way. I don't know, it just, the music was cool though, the music playing the whole time. See if we can find Tatsu. This is one of my favorite coasters. Oh, let's do that. Yeah, see how it lays you down like that? That's like the one you were talking about. Alex Zuby, what's up, man? How you doing? I was just going through a couple of audio settings here. I was down for a couple of days. I couldn't get it working.
Welcome back, streamers. Glad you're still with me.
I was going through this video, noise gate, compression. We did all that. How you been? What time is it? I'm not even gonna have time to. I wanted to run a couple of games, but I gotta leave here in a minute.
Talking voice. You want this to kind of hover between -5 dB and -10 dB. So it sounds like I might actually have mine a little bit strong right now. I'm going to take this threshold and drag it back up. And then if I talk in a normal voice,
Okay. Between -5 and -10 on normal talking. That looks good. Okay. Okay. Gain. Okay, okay. No sound? Okay. See, I didn't know that. So I need. I could hear it here. How come it's not sending it to the stream? Aloha. Gotta get to school. Have a good day at school. Don't be late. Can you hear my mic, Alex? My microphone working? It seems like my. It's a browser. Why am I not? Huh. Green Beats, the only. Where's his channel? I can't. Green Beats, here, seller. Oh, there it is. Playlist. What the? Still no sound? Why isn't it letting me play? Yeah, it's this. It's not sending it. These are the things I'm trying to sort out here. I thought it was like. I thought he had some like electronic type stuff here. Why doesn't this work? Okay. Input. could see it here on system, but why is it not going out to the stream? But my mic is going to the stream. Monitor mix, stream mix. Huh. Let me check my wavelink system. Elgato virtual audio. Huh. I don't even know. I don't even know what to do. More volume settings. Okay, we could close this. I'm done with the compression. Choose where to play sound. That cuts it for me. This should be sending it to the stream though. Why is that not going to the stream? The monitor mix, which is the headphones, goes to my headphones. Check. Okay. But I have nothing here, but that's from the browser. Device for speaking or recording. Wavelink stream. Input is from stream. Ay. Wavelink. Huh. I don't know. Over here. I just wanna be happy. That's my desktop sounds in OBS, but that's the old settings. And that is picking up. You can barely hear me. Why is it so low? Yeah, why is it so low? Oh, wait. What about now? I had that turned down. Good call. These are all things I'm learning. That's my... Why can't I hear...
About us and what we do.
Oh, I was meaning. Okay, my bad. Can you hear me now? And can you hear music? Looking at the EQ, it looks like, yeah. Alright, well I gotta go. See, this is day 3 of this. I think I'm pretty close.
Voices going through my head. These voices telling me what to say.
Tick, 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 tick. Alright, I think we got it. That was weird though that wasn't sending to the stream. So if I turn this off, this is what, okay. So now it's on. And this turns it down. And I cranked up system down. This is supposed to be controlling system. Oh, that's the game. All right, I think tomorrow we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. I should be done with this. I just saw you said skibbity bop. It's lagging. Oh, you got my. You can hear my mic now, and you can hear the music. I think Alex Zuby took off. Alright, I'll have to watch this on playback to see what actually happened, but the browser audio isn't coming through separately. It's just coming through on system. Okay, alright, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. Okay, check, check. Check, check, yeah, the gain's all the way up. Check. Check, alright. So if I turn, that's everything. It turns everything down, even my voice. So I need more gain on my mic, I think. Check, 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 check. Yeah. I need to be able to control the browser audio. Check, check, check. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna do that. Aha. There's some kind of a noise. Okay. That shuts it off. Okay, so now I good. Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. That could save. Alright, I'm out of here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully this is one of the last times I have to deal with this. But this thing wasn't booting up at all. I didn't have the correct hardware connected or something. I don't know. So the wavelink kind of takes over all your audio, and it was just a mess. But tomorrow we'll be back to gaming and Warzone rank big map tomorrow. All right. Anyways, GG's.